courthouses were the center of the community in those days. There was a weather vane on the top so people from miles around could see which way the wind was blowing. There was a clock with a bell, and people could tell time. You know, that was the day before people commonly had watches. I mean, it was just the center of all their information. Government in Columbus was a long ways away. The government in Washington, D.C. was even further away. The local county government was, that was the government that people knew, and that's why they thought it was so important.
I really think they were the symbol of coming out of the pioneer period. They'd worked so hard to establish the area, to clear the area, to establish their schools, their churches, their different communities and their businesses. And the final thing that they did to come out of the pioneer time then was to build these monuments, these huge buildings that represented their new county. I'd imagine that when they looked at it, they just couldn't believe this massive building that was being built in their small town. I think that they would be truly amazed, and when they came in, I think they'd look around and they'd say, this is our cathedral.
I think what we risk if we cannot keep a courthouse is our identity, our linkage back to who we were as a county as we were first forming, where we've come from and where we're heading.
It's more than a courtroom in that it's a work of art, it's an architectural treasure, and it's history all in one place. Plus, as I said before, it's like a temple of justice. And I think when people come in here, they're awed by that. I think what we do in the law is kind of reflected by, by the ambiance of this room.
Just when you walk in this building, it immediately sets a tone. I think you see it as the temple of justice that they always expected it to be. People know whether it's the grand jury or whether it's a court case or whatever they're coming for, they know that this is an important place and that this has meaning. This represents democracy to us. This is our closest way to touch American democracy by coming here into this courthouse.
This project, really, from the time it was first thought of till completion was 20 years. It can be done. And I know the other courthouses in our area who have done this feel the same way as I do. And all of them, like we've uncovered this treasure of this ceiling, but I know like in Auglaize County, I've heard they uncovered behind a wall a mural of Pickett's charge that had been covered up for 50 years. When we first completed the project, we had an open house for the community. And it was on a Sunday afternoon, it was in January, and it was a cold, rainy day. And my wife and I were coming up, and I said, I don't even know if anybody will show up. And we got here, and there were 1,200 people here. I mean, the room was full, and it was just amazing. And people stayed. I mean, they stayed for like an hour or two, just mainly staring at the ceiling. We had a person here yesterday who was from Sweden. He was a lawyer in Sweden. And he looked at this, and I said, well, how does this compare with Europe? He said, well, this would be the Supreme Court in Sweden. So that shows you kind of the level that we've gotten to here in Van Wert County, of all places.
I don't know if this takes place in all counties, but I think if a stranger came up to somebody in Auglaize County and said, tell me something about your county, I think the first thing that they're going to say is, let me tell you about our courthouse. Because that's something that everybody north, south, east, and west of our county can identify with. That's what they know, that's what they love, and they swell with pride when talking about their courthouse. It's been passed on from generations ahead of them, and they're looking forward to passing it on to generations behind.